Okay, welcome back to my Let's Play of Detective Case 1. They really could have come up with a better name than that, I think, but sure. I mean, it is what it says on the tin, I suppose. Right, so Case 1. As a recap, we are investigating the past of a golden watch that originally owned to a Polish pianist before it was stolen from a museum in Poland during World War II by a Nazi microbiologist. The watch somehow then ended up in the United States, owned by a man named Rupert Owens, who sold it to an auction house for $5,000. The auction house then discovered its true history, and now it is currently in police custody. I assume very soon it'll get handed back over to the Polish government. So, that was what we all learned at the very start. What we learned in the last video was that Rupert Owens' father, Marcus Owens, owned a pawn shop. And he... There we go. He had a criminal past. He was questioned about a crime in 1967. The crime had been committed by a man that he was acquainted with named Henry Giles, who had broken into the home of Horatio Dawson. Dawson had came into the pawn shop earlier that day to sell some jewelry. Later that night, Giles broke in, presumably, we don't know for sure, forced Dawson to open the safe, killed him during a struggle, and then fled the scene. Marcus Owens was questioned about it, but there was no evidence to convict him of any involvement. He was later thrown into prison for a carjacking, resisting arrest, or something like that. And he apparently wanted to talk to the prosecutor about something. Can we... Oh, really? Okay, I got logged out apparently. Oh, and then you gotta go to this... Talking about Dune all the time. Really? Just, I wanna... Thank you. Jesus. Marcus Owens. So, accomplice to a car theft, handling stolen goods, resisting arrest, failure to obey a police order. While in prison, he wanted to cooperate with the prosecutor's office, but he was found dead before he could share any information. And we know for a fact that he was stabbed by another prisoner. Oh yeah, caused a stab. Perpetrator unknown, but it was in prison. You'd think that they would know. That's sort of a question mark. Let me put question marks around that. Yeah, that's pretty odd that they wouldn't know who... I guess maybe in a big struggle. Maybe that's not a big clue. Someone just shivs him quickly while passing by. Maybe he wouldn't realize. Fingerprints of Dawson's housekeeper and 2 kids were all over the house. Now, that could answer the partial fingerprints. But... So we found 4 sets of... They found 4 sets of fingerprints around Dawson's house. One, of course, belonged to Dawson. One belonged to Henry Giles. And then there was a fingerprint on a brass ashtray. And we don't have enough info about it. It was just a partial fingerprint. We might later because we only have a few of the letters of this signature. So if we later find a fingerprint and it has these exact same letters in it, then we can identify, oh, that fingerprint was in Dawson's house on the ashtray. Now, it could belong to the housekeeper and the 2 kids. That's what we learned from digging deeper into the case file. But the fingerprints of the housekeeper and the 2 children were omitted from the whole report, which means that we would not have signatures for the housekeeper and the 2 kids. So that means that this fingerprint cannot belong to them, right? Either way. She could still be a suspect, we don't know. Okay. That's where we're at. We mostly dug into this crime that happened in 67. We've got some further leads, though. Let's start by looking into Michael Slater, the investigating officer who is dead now. And his funeral is actually in a couple days, which we have the option of going to. And since he's involved with this, we may be interested. Okay. Michael Slater, born in 1937 in Richmond, Virginia. Medium height, brown eyes, dark hair, O blood type. Limited knee mobility due to a screwdriver injury in the line of duty. Shoe size 11. Now that's interesting because they found shoe size 11 at the crime scene, but it belonged to Giles, I believe. Yeah, shoe size 11. Let me just double check Giles. Shoe size 1144. I don't think that really means anything. Retired police officer from the homicide department in the rank of sergeant, assigned to the 6th precinct Richmond PD's, consultant during the assembly of the Antares team. Okay, his wife, Christine Slater, not Christian Slater. Born in 1945 in Charleston, West Virginia. Witness in a homicide case. What? His wife was a witness? Oh, in 1965. So this was a previous homicide case that his wife was a witness to. '65. Do we know of any crimes that happened in 65? I don't think so. I didn't write down times for Rupert Owens. Or dates for Rupert Owens. No, I don't think we know anything about 65. Let me double check Marcus again. No. It's okay. We don't know what happened in 65. But we can remove this as a further lead. Alright, so now our options are, which is quite a bit. We can look further into Kurt Blutholz with a history consultant. We can get incident data on the robbery. Oh, we did that. We did that. Yeah, we did that. Did we look up the victim? We didn't. We didn't. Why didn't I write that down? Right, look up the victim. There we go. Here we go. Horatio James Dawson, born 25 in White Springs, Texas. Died in the age of 42, of course. Murdered during a robbery. Yeah, we know... Yeah, we knew about his fingerprints. Irregular scarring under the shoulder blade, scar on the neck from a cut. military tattoo on the right shoulder, a pyramid with the motto 7 steps to hell and 6 stars. Let's look this up. U.S. Army? Seventh Army was the first American formation of field army sized to see combat in World War II. The Army was formed when the U.S. 1 Armored Corps was redesignated in 1943 to provide headquarters for American forces in Operation Husky, the invasion of Sicily. 7 Steps to Hell is an unofficial tab under the 7th Pyramid of Power patch. Is this what it refers to? Or it's this. Besides inspiring the 7th Army's official motto, Pyramid of Power, the design also led to the Army's informal epigram, 7 Steps to Hell. Okay, so I think basically what we're getting out of this is that he served in World War II? Yeah, he would have been 18. Oh, it says military tattoo on the right shoulder. And 6 stars. What does 6 stars mean in the Army? Nothing. It doesn't exist. So, why would he get a 6-star rank tattoo? Odd. Okay. So he was arrested April 12, 1967 for an assault on the retired Colonel Samuel J. Brown. The charges were dropped. Shoe size 11.5, weight 181 pounds. Okay. We can look into his personal file from the official military personnel files and the Department of Veteran Affairs. Okay, but let's look into Samuel Brown. 1912, died at 73 as a car accident. Retired American Army Colonel, World War II veteran. 1946, charged with fraud, corruption, and falsifying reports. Restored to service in 1949 after being found not guilty by court-martial. December of 1949, he left the service. Due to clerical error, there was previously a wrong date of death, 1992, in his files. The error was later corrected after the file was synchronized with the coroner's data. Okay. Boy, oh boy, there's a lot to take in here. Alright. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So, Horatio Dawson. We know he served in World War II. Military tattoo on shoulder. Army with 6 stars, which doesn't exist. Okay. Attacked a retired colonel. That's not how you spell colonel. Yeah, I knew that. Attacked a retired colonel in 1967, April 1967. Charges were dropped. Okay. Colonel Samuel Brown was charged with fraud and falsifying reports in 1946. But he was found innocent? Found not guilty. Yeah, found. Innocent is not equal to not guilty. Found not guilty and restored to service. Okay. So he was restored to service in 1949. December 1949, he left the service. Left that same year. And then there's this thing about his death. Let's just put that in. Okay. What does it all mean? Okay, but we did get some further leads here. Basically, looking into his personal file. So let me add that to our further lead. Okay, so Kurt Blutholz, or we can look into the evidence related to the murder of Dawson. We can look at his autopsy report. We can consult his forensic psychologist at the courthouse. We can go to his grave. Or we can look at Dawson's personal file from the military. Since we're at Richmond PD, I think it's best we do one of those. So we look at evidence related to the case or the autopsy report. Will the autopsy report tell us that much? What did the report say that he died of? Okay, basically they found part of the railing of the stairs broken and blood traces found on the steps. Traces were type A blood, which Dawson had ARH+. Is that close enough that I should care? Should I make is that notable? What was Giles' blood type? ARH+. That's interesting. Michael Slater was O. Marcus Owens, O, RH+. Kurt Blutholz. Oh, okay. Is there anyone that was just A? Does just A exist? What about Christine Slater? ABRH negative. What about Lily Garrett? ABRH plus? I don't know if we can really. Okay. I don't know. That's the thing. It's like it could be both. I feel like we should look at both. Let's look at both. So let's just do the evidence related case 106. That's what we're doing. It's set in stone. It's happening. You can't stop me. 106. It's another 3-hour ordeal. We save on travel time, but still. That means that it is now 3 p.m. You pass 3 cops who are talking about some suspect being on the move. Somebody saw him a few blocks from here. They cover their heads with their jackets and run out into the rain. In front of you, at the end of the corridor, you see a ruckus in the lobby. A couple of policemen are struggling with a tattooed jock. You turn left, past the locker rooms and showers, and reach the evidence storage, which shares space with the archives. You fill out the application manually, sign 4 consecutive forms, and hand everything to Susie, who takes the forms and winks at you. You brace yourself for several dozen minutes of waiting. With a cup of nasty coffee in one hand and a phone in the other, you sit in one of the dozen or so wire chairs which stand along the wall. You have time to read on the internet about military operations during World War II. Finally, they call out your name. The archive employee brings you a dusty cardboard box. Inside, you find only a couple of items. and torn scraps of typewritten paper secured in a paper envelope labeled "Send to Lab 072467." Over the writing, there's a stamp reading "Examination Cancelled." Okay, hold on. There's more to it. We need to read number 128, number 129, and 135. 3 more cards I get to read. Holy shit. $128, $129, and $135, the last card in the deck. This is good. We're on the right track. I feel it. Okay, so 128 is a picture of a woman. Photo found in a shattered frame on the floor next to the desk in Horatio Dawson's office. She's wearing like a bald cap or something, or I don't know. And then on the back, which we are allowed to look at for free, on the back we have photo found in Horatio Dawson's safe. Looks like from World War II. Okay. 129, we have brass ashtray, weighs approximately 3.3 pounds, found on the desk. Yeah, okay, well, that was missing from the report. There's a big fucking bullet casing. It's a bullet. It's a round from a rifle. Okay. On the back, it's a picture of a pendant, which suspect Marcus Owens bought at his pawn shop from Horatio Dawson. Owens later gave this to his wife, Lily Owens, later Lily Garrett. It is a sort of heart-shaped pendant. All right. And 135 is a bill. It's a bill of receipt from the pawn shop, Marcus Owens pawn shop, June 14th. He bought jewelry and a gold watch for $487. So I'm not allowed to look at the back of this without spending a token. So I'm not going to show it to you, but it's a receipt. A jewelry, gold watch, $487. Signed by Horatio Dawson. Now, for a token... I don't know the order of operation. I don't know if I have to... Because we can dive deeper into the original card, 106, to make sure that that's all the evidence. We might have to do that first, but I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. So, both of these are these magnifying glass tokens. I only have one. I'd have to use my wild one to get both of them. Do I care about verifying the authenticity of this bill? No? I mean, why would I guess if it's fake or if it's been faked or if it's real, then we know that Marcus Owens actually bought the gold watch. Which doesn't really explain at all why Henry Giles would go to his house later that night. But didn't Dawson say that he had other jewelry at home? Owens, working as Giles' silent partner, informed Giles that Dawson had more valuables. Marcus Owens admitted to telling Giles that. but he denied any involvement in the robbery. So it's just like, yeah, you know this seedy guy that works for you or something like that, and you're like, hey, this dude has a bunch of valuables in his home. I'm not telling you to steal them or anything, but I'm just saying, they're there. But yeah, that's, how it works. Do I take the time? Oh, do I spend the token to verify the authenticity? I can do it later, I suppose, if I have reasonable doubt. I guess let's put a pin in that. We're going to put it on this side over here, so I know that I have not looked at the back of it. But with my special ability, I can look at it later if I want. But I think we should look at the back of this one to make sure that we have all the evidence. Evidence is key. We did get some further leads. Let me add them. Examine paper shreds. Number 118 at the lab. Or historical consultation on evidence material. Okay, so let's spend our token to make sure we have all the evidence. The contents of the box surprised you. The evidence is very poor, even for the time in which it was assembled. You know exactly how the evidence material collected at a crime scene should look. Every clue, every piece of paper, cigarette butt, hair, dozens of the smallest details should be taken into account. Instead, there are 3 measly items thrown into an old cardboard box. What a joke. It would be good to do something about it, but there isn't that much time, and it would require Delaware to let you go through both the evidence and archives. That would delay the investigation. The procedural errors in the case of Dawson's murder have little to do with the mystery of the Polish watch. You'll bring it up to Delaware when you return to Antares. You have an impression bordering on certainty that something is not right here. You will gladly find out what it is. Add plot card number 124 to case 2. Shit. So basically, I helped out with the following case. Fuck. That doesn't help us at all then. Because I had a thought. I had a thought that maybe Michael Slater recovered the watch and then was involved in the crime and, like, falsified all this or something like that. Let me check some dates real quick. Specifically, Rupert Owens. When did Rupert Owens try and sell this watch? I'm just looking at the books. A few days ago. A few days ago, the watch appeared in the Ying auction house. They had bought it from Rupert Owens. So this was likely a very recent event. And when did Michael Slater die? Unknown. Just says he was a victim of a hit and run. We're grasping at straws, kind of, though. But it is, again, it's like in a game sense, you'd think, like, oh man, it could very easily be connected. Michael Slater, he worked on this same case, now he's dead, and he could have falsified this evidence and these records and blah, blah, blah. He could have been involved. Christine Slater was apparently a witness to a murder sometime. What's going on? But then in real life, it's like, really? I mean, seems like a stretch. Okay. Fine. What's done is done, though. What's done is done. I don't know how much we really gleaned from this, other than the possibility that Marcus Owens bought the gold watch from Dawson. I'd have to spend my wild token to potentially confirm that or not. Let me just think it through. If it's true that Owens bought the watch, he kept it, and he eventually passed it off or something to his son, who just sold it to the auction house when he needed some cash. Neither of them apparently knowing its true value. Because, I don't know. You'd assume Marcus Owens would have tried to sell it himself at some point. That leads to a very boring history of this watch and how it ended up at the auction house. Alternatively, if this record had been falsified in some way by somebody, I'm not saying necessarily Michael Slater, but somebody, it leads to a much more intriguing situation. Right? I mean, that's... What we don't know either way, regardless of that transaction, is we don't know how Dawson ended up with the watch from Blue Holes. He attacked a retired colonel 21 years after the guy left the service. That's pretty odd. And the weird thing with the 6-star tattoo. I don't know. I mean, it didn't sound like that's a common tattoo that people get. So for now, I'm still not going to verify the authenticity of the receipt. I think we look more into Blue Holes. Do I take the time to do the autopsy report? Well, if we do any sort of travel, we're really going into overtime because it's 3 o'clock. So I think let's just do the autopsy report because we're here, and then tomorrow we'll dig deeper into Blue Holes. That's the plan. So, number 117. Perfect. It only takes 1 hour. Right at the end of the day. I love it. No stress for us. Stress-free. Okay. You go through the staff entrance. You pass 2 policemen from the traffic department who are leaving the station while verbally assaulting a group of cuffed women being guided down the corridor to the cells. The girls do not hold back and repay the favor. The corridor turns into a cacophony of insults and curses. You try to simply walk by the group, but they struggle with the policeman leading them. Suddenly, one of the girls, hurling curses, breaks free and jumps towards the exit, chasing after the 2 policemen who have already left for the parking lot. You react instinctively. You catch her halfway and press her up the wall. Holding her, you call out for someone to take care of this mess. The rest of the women react wildly to the scene which just unfolded, and the corridor is chaotic for a few minutes. You retreat, pushing brutally through to take the corridor towards the archive. Behind you, you can hear insults being screeched at you. You approach the service window. You're lucky that Susie is on the job now. She's the favorite of the entire police station. With her, the job always gets done. The documents were already waiting for you. You fill out the application form to respect the procedure and take the files. Pleasant surprise. Okay. Post-mortem autopsy report. Horatio Dawson. Date of examination, June 15, 1967. Body of a man aged 42, weight 192 pounds, height 5'11", blood type A. Okay, so that's consistent. So ARH plus is really A. In olden days, in the 60s, they just called it A. I guess we've gotten more specific since then. Eh. On his file in the database, he's listed as a height of 6 feet. Here, height 5'11". Here, his weight was 181 pounds. On the autopsy report, 192 pounds. Is that enough of a discrepancy that I should care? The fingerprints match. Internal organ condition unchanged. Alcohol and intoxicating substances in the blood not found. Autopsy. Oval bruise on the right calf just below the knee. Bruise and numerous abrasions on the face and on the left side of the neck. 1-inch bruise above the right temple. Bruises and longitudinal abrasions as a result of collision with a cuboid object. Wood splinters found in the wounds. The disc is separated. Left shoulder twisted and cracked. Cause of death: extensive trauma to the cervical segment, shifting of the fifth vertebra, disruption of the nervous system, likely as a result of a fall from a height. Everything seems to point that it's like, yeah, that he fell from the stairs during a struggle. Numerous, yeah, okay. 1-inch bruise above the right temple. So, damn it. I don't know. As a further lead, we can consult with court pathologist to analyze autopsy report. That's an option available to us now. But either way, it's the end of the day. So there it is. End of the day. What do we do? No. I say no. Write a report. No. Just tell me. Oh, there we go. We don't want to go into overtime today. We don't need to. The clock's not ticking that hard. Move the time to 8 a.m. Day is 2. And that's it. Okay, that's it. So yeah, you don't get any more tokens, unfortunately. 8 a.m. There we go. Perfect. Fresh day. We are back at headquarters to start. You always start each day at headquarters. So at headquarters, we can seek out the history consultant concerning Kurt Bluetholz. We can look into Dawson's personal file from the military, or we can get a historical consultation on the evidence material. Which is basically like the ashtray, the pendant, the photos. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Let's... Well, I said we were going to dig deeper into Kurt, so let's do that. Number 115 at the headquarters. Takes 2 hours. So it is now 10 a.m. Brubenbeck arrives out of breath and with a whole portfolio of documents under his arm. He's drenched from head to toe due to the heavy rain which has been slashing the windows of Antari's headquarters from early morning and causing traffic jams throughout the whole city. It was a miracle that he protected the documents from the downpour. He ran from the parking lot holding the briefcase under the umbrella. He asks for a cup of hot coffee and a towel. A soggy coat and hat land on a chair. He says that you have to hurry because in 2 hours he must return to the university. You prepare 2 coffees. Their cheap aroma spreads over the room and follows you to the top floor. Instead of sitting with the professor in one of the conference rooms on their floor, you take him to a small cramped room at the end of the corridor. A secret hiding place known only to a few people from the department. You wink at Brubenbeck, pull out a pack of cigarettes, and put an ashtray on the table. Brubenbeck smiles and takes out a small box of tobacco for his pipe. He sips his coffee and begins to talk about Blootholz's story while he prepares his smoke. Alright, now we read 116. There is not much about Blootholz in our files. He graduated with honors from the Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich in the medical department. From 1935, he belonged to the NSDAP. On April 24, 1942, the Society of the Emperor Frederick in Berlin appointed the Central Research Institute and named him as the director of the institute, a young, ambitious, and very capable member of the Nazi Party, the ideal candidate. A year later, in 1943, he was sent to a German-occupied Posen, where he was employed as the head of the Cancer Statistics Department, a fictional moniker that was supposed to camouflage the basic goal of the institute, advanced research in transplantology. We do not have much information from this period. One can only guess what atrocities were done under the guise of research. The last piece of information we have about him is that he fled south to Austria after the war, under the fictitious name of Buchmann. I suspect that he then went to Italy, and then just dissolved into thin air like many other criminals who traveled in that direction. The German criminals generally bribed soldiers to guarantee their passage across the border. They paid with stolen pre-war jewelry, gold, and anything else of value. Then they disappeared. Okay. So the only fact we have then about his whereabouts was that he ended up in Austria. And the German criminals generally bribed soldiers to guarantee their passage across the border, paying with stolen pre-war jewelry, gold, and anything else of value. The Polish government say that Kurt stole the watch. So, for now, we're taking that as a fact, that he did originally steal the watch from the museum. But did he sell it? Did he bribe a soldier with it to get into Austria? Or Italy, or wherever? And he never ended up in the US, but whoever he sold it to did go to the US. Did he sell it to Colonel Samuel Brown? That seems unlikely. Samuel Brown seems too high end. Did he sell it to Dawson? I don't think so. I think we're talking about a European soldier, not a U.S. soldier, but I don't know. Now, as a follow-up to this, we can learn more about the Spider Organization, Die Spinne, who are responsible for helping Nazis flee justice. That is one of these research tokens or whatever. This is the last one I have. Let's put a pin in that one as well. I'm not ready to learn about that, or I'm not ready to gamble on that. Okay. So we can rule out that lead. Do we want to look into Dawson's personal file? I think so. Probably. Alright. Fine. I want to know what exactly Dawson was up to in the military. Maybe get some clues about why he attacked this colonel. So let's go with 113. Takes another 2 hours, so now it's noon. The computer on the desk behind you looks for connections between Dawson, Horatio, World War II, Europe. Veterans' diaries, interviews, memories. This is a bit loud. Hold on. Veterans' diaries and interviews, memories, photos, archives, anything that will allow you to get more information about this man. Someone somewhere had to write something about him. Someone somewhere must remember him. In a letter from the war or an interview, somewhere for sure. On the monitor, subsequent documents flash, download, get analyzed, and rejected. The computer on the right analyzes information about military tattoos and the expression 7 steps to hell. The images flash one by one on the monitor. It took you a few minutes to set up filters that would discard the results with prison tattoos. Without those filters, it would take weeks to sort through them. While these two behemoths are running down the information superhighway, dragging information through the fiber optic, you are battling the forms from the National Personnel Records Center in St. Louis, trying to file an application for Dawson's military files. Finally, you give up, pick up the phone, and make a call. A nice lady promises to take care of it personally. 10 minutes later, you receive your answer by email. We regret to inform you that the files of Mr. Dawson belong to a group of documents destroyed in a fire on July 12, 1973. All that is left is the following data: a catalog card from the inventory sheet. Regarding the conduct of the service, we do not have any information, although it can be concluded from the number of distinctions that it was exemplary. Horatio James Dawson. Born 25, White Springs, Texas. Died June 14, 1967, Richmond, Virginia. Service from January 1943 to November 1945. U.S. Army conscript from 1946 to 1955, located in Fort Lee, training the U.S. Army Quartermaster Corps. Allocation 7th Army 6th Infantry Corps. Rank Sergeant. Distinctions: Distinguished Service Cross, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, European African Middle Eastern Campaign Medal. Comments: Husky Operation, Undertone Operation. Buried at Virginia Veterans Cemetery. We can add 1 authority token to the pool. Great. Okay, so as a further lead, we can go to the Virginia Veterans Cemetery. Oh, that's already listed. That's his grave. We knew that. Great. So it's not a further lead. So there's a couple things we can look up on the internet here. One is Operation Husky, or the Husky Operation. The Allied invasion of Sicily. Massive amphibious assault on July 10th, 1943. Okay. He was very fresh in the service at that point. So he was in Italy then. He was in Italy until 1945, potentially. Well, no, we don't know what the undertone operation is. Hold on. Operation Undertone. Large assault. US. Okay. Yep. March 1945. Attack a Brest from Saarbrücken, Germany, to a point southeast of France. Okay, so he was definitely in the thick of it. U.S. lost 3,500 were killed. Okay, so he was, and he's got a bunch of distinctions. He reached sergeant. Trained the U.S. Quartermaster Corps for 9 years afterwards. Okay, but he was in Europe. Okay, when did, what am I thinking of? Thinking of Bluetholz's file. What did that say again? Basically, yeah, after the war he fled south to Austria. Just doesn't seem like Dawson is connected to anything other than he was over there in Europe during World War II. It's not a lot to go off of. I don't really want to look that far into Dawson at this point, but hard to say. I don't want to go to his grave. Let's rule that out. So let's get a historical consultation on the evidence from the murder scene. So we're going to go with 122. Another 2 hours. It's now 2 p.m. Keep it in mind that tomorrow at 8 a.m. I have to decide if I'm going to go to the funeral of Michael Slater. Okay. Grubenbeck wants to meet directly in the evidence storage. You bump into each other in the corridor. The professor greets you with a nod, finishing the conversation he's having over the phone. Yes, Caddy, I'll be there on time. I remember. He looks at the box that you have under your arm and rubs his hand. Crazy day. I have a lot of meetings. He looks at his watch. We have an hour. Can we take a look at this in the cafeteria? I'll not have time for lunch later. You take the elevator to the first floor and sit at the window table. Grubenbeck orders a salad and a Coke, then starts to inspect. An ashtray made from an artillery shell. Probably belonged to someone associated with the army. It's authentic. It seems to me like a souvenir from the campaign during the Second World War. Please, look at these signs at the bottom. The signatures indicate the ammunition sent to Europe. What else? These photos do not tell me much, and pauses in the middle of the sentence. Oh, that is interesting. He picks up the gold pendant and starts examining it from all sides. He pulls out his phone and checks something. This is a medal commemorating the sacrament of baptism. Woltzin 1940 is engraved on the back. During World War II, they displaced Poles and Jews from there. We get another authority token for what good it does us. Okay, and we can look up Woltzin. Town in western Poland. Town was occupied by Germany. September 1939, directly incorporating the Nazi German Reichsgau Wartheland till the end of the war in 1945. Polish population was subjected to various crimes. Okay. Germans established and operated Stalag 21st CH prisoner war camp. Forced labor camp for Jews. Okay. So, Dawson. Okay. Dawson, for some reason, owned a pendant. Owned a medal that commemorated the sacrament of baptism in Wolzen in 1940. Which was occupied by the Nazis, and they established a prisoner of war camp there. And a forced labor camp for Jews. Why would he own this? That is pretty sketch. 1940. He wasn't even in Europe in 1940, so it's not like it's his. When would he have been in Poland? It wouldn't have been during the Husky operation. When the hell would he have been in Poland? He wouldn't have been. Not according to... I mean, well, we don't know his whole history. All that we know is he was involved in Husky operation and the Undertone operation. Neither one of those was involved with Poland. But I mean, he was only in Europe for 2 years. Okay, so let's say that he did stop off, but no, why would he have, when was this? Can I get a better history of this place? Wolzen 1940. Someone else has played this game. Wonder if that tells us anything. Prisoners of war. Yeah, you can get the full history, but I want to know when it was, like, liberated. Am I not going to find out that information? Forced labor camp functioned until 1943. And then they were all sent to Auschwitz. It's just... Okay, we're getting distracted here. So let me... For whatever reason, he owned a medal that originated in Wolzen. It says during World War II, they displaced Poles and Jews from there. Right, so they shipped a bunch of Polish people and Jewish people out of Wolfson to other parts of Europe. Presumably, someone that had lived there was sent away with the thing, and Dawson ended up with it. So I don't think Dawson's military record is really as squeaky clean as we think it is. Not only did he end up with this medal from that town, he also ended up with the gold watch that was stolen from the museum in Poland. How do I piece this together, though? Okay. Clean military record, served with distinction during World War II, Operation Husky, and Operation Undertone. 1943 to 1945. However, ended up with stolen jewelry. Yeah. Including gold watch and medal from Wolfst, I don't know, in Poland. The medal. Wait, who the hell was Lily Garrett? Wait a minute. Like I just missed something big. Okay, so he had a photo of a woman in a shattered frame on his desk. The pendant, which Marcus Owen... Oh, okay. The pendant which Marcus Owens bought from Dawson, Owens later gave to his wife, who's Lily Garrett. Okay, I thought Dawson had given it to Lily Garrett. I was like, that seems like a big fucking clue. No, I don't think Lily Garrett's really involved in anything. Okay. Geisa. It's a lot to piece together. Alright. So right now we have 4 more leads. We can go to his grave, which I'm not inclined to do, but maybe. Examining the paper shreds. I don't really know what that means. What was... Examine paper shreds. Oh! The evidence box. It had torn scraps of typewritten paper, secured in a paper envelope labeled "Send to Lab." But over the writing, there's a stamp reading "Examination Cancelled." So that could be further evidence if Michael Slater was involved in the crime. Whew. Okay. I mean, it's not so much that I'm like overwhelmed, and we're still at the point where we're like, okay, let's just keep going further and further and looking into evidence, new evidence. We still also could use our ability to learn more about the Spider organization or verify that the receipt was real. We have 2 hours left in this day. I'm gonna verify the authenticity of the bill. We're doing it. Could be the biggest mistake of my career. You call the office and ask them to look for Dawson's signature scan everywhere in the system. His military ID, letters, bills to the laundry, anything. They say they'll check and call you back. You sit back in a metal chair and watched the policeman at the end of the corridor still struggle with the tattooed man. Oh, I needed to pay an authority token as well, because we did it, using our ability. Trying to bring him into custody. Guy's high on drugs and causing serious problems. 3 policemen barely managed to get him into the cell. Meanwhile, your phone bleeps. Check your email, you hear in the phone. You have a photo of Dawson's military ID with his signature. You do not need a graphologist to determine that the signatures look identical. The one on the receipt and the one on the card. The receipt seems to be real. You can imagine Dawson leaning over the counter of the pawn shop, passing Owens a watch, picking up a pen and signing the bill. His fingerprints must be here. So now, as a further lead, we can take the bill for fingerprint research. Number 114 at the lab. Okay, so... the receipt seems to be real. His fingerprints must be here. So we're looking for... why are we looking for Dawson's fingerprints? Why would I care to take the bill for fingerprint research? Oh, unless I'm looking for Owen's fingerprints. We don't have Marcus Owen's fingerprints, do we? No, we do. So what do I have? No, this is stupid. Why would I care about that? Fingerprint research. I have Dawson's. I have Owens. I have Giles. Because this is Giles. Who else would I be trying to look for? Seems like a waste. Except we've confirmed that the receipt is real, which means that Marcus Owens must have bought the watch. But like I said, that's sort of like the end of its journey, more or less, because then it just ended up with Rupert, who sold it to the auction house. I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of twists and turns after Marcus Owens bought the watch. But it does raise the... it doesn't really raise the question of why Giles would go and break into his house, because the guy apparently had a bunch of valuables sitting in his house. Well, wait a minute. What was... oh, this was the interesting thing. I didn't even write in the notepad. Dawson. The day before his death, withdrew all of his money from the bank. I mean, that's always suspicious. 16K 452. Money not found in safe. The only thing they found in the safe was insurance papers and bank statements. They didn't find any jewelry and they didn't find any money. So obviously, you know, he was robbed. But the question is, why did he withdraw all of his money the day before? And why at that point did he go to the pawn shop to sell a bunch of jewelry? Why at that point in his life did he need a whole crap ton of money? Unless he was planning on fleeing the country, would be my guess. It's the same year that he attacked the retired colonel. It's like 2 months later. It's 2 months after he attacked the retired colonel. Takes out all his money, sells a bunch of jewelry from Europe, and then dies. It's fishy. But alright, I think that's enough for today. Long enough video. It's I mean, I like it, man. I'm all about this kind of shit. I just don't know if I know anyone else that is like this into like detective shit. That's kind of the bummer. Because it probably would be a lot of fun playing with other people that are all like, yes, let's research and really dive in. But most of the people I know are kind of dumb. Yeah. So, but we're gonna keep going with case one. Rest assured, we are not finished here, but we are finished for now. My name is Mangg. Gaming watching has been Detective. See you fine folks in the next part.